From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Now is not the time to throw away all the hard work that we've been doing together.
New COVID-19 numbers in Marion County lower than some areas of the state. Now at 4:30, the message from county leaders about when we could see restrictions ease. Plus, parents with students doing e-learning have a little bit more help. Working for you, the details on the plan to keep community learning centers up and running through the end of the year. And President Trump and Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden holding dueling town halls last night. We're breaking down what you need to know about the events. But first, here at 4:30, I want to thank you for joining our team on Good Morning Indiana. We finally made it to Friday, and boy, Todd, it is chilly out there this morning.
Yeah, it's one of the colder mornings we have seen so far this fall season, Lauren, as temperatures are dipping very close to the freezing mark in many locations. Down to 33 right now in Peru, 34 in Lafayette, Indianapolis down to 37 degrees, and we have freeze warnings that are posted across almost the entire state. Once you get down towards Cincinnati and then along the Ohio River, we have a couple just frost advisories. But it's probably almost too late if you left your plants outside and didn't cover them up here this morning. But you may want to run out and grab them if you haven't, because temperatures will likely go down another couple degrees here this morning before we start to see our temperatures climb very quickly once the sun comes up. So one of the reasons why we've cooled off so quick are the clouds have moved out. As you can see, the skies are clear. There's our rain from yesterday, moving from Pittsburgh down towards Lexington, Kentucky. And so for the day today, we have sunshine in the forecast really from start to finish. It's a bright day. It's just going to be a little bit below normal. Had that jacket handy this morning. 52 degrees by the noon hour with high temperatures today, Lauren, topping off only in the mid-50s.
All right, Todd, thanks. Let's get a look at traffic right now. So you're heading out the door early this morning. This is I-70 near Emerson Avenue on the east side. You can see traffic here is moving along up to speed. No restrictions to slow you down, but of course we'll keep you updated if there are any trouble spots you need to avoid throughout the morning. It is 4:32 with just over 2 weeks to go until the presidential election. President Trump and his opponent, Democrat Joe Biden, faced voters last night in competing town halls. The president on NBC and Biden on ABC. On the night that would have been the second presidential debate, Nadia Romero joins us now with more.
Taking center stage and most likely the most important issue on the minds of Americans right now, the coronavirus pandemic.
Many people are getting this, and I mean, nobody's being blamed. Everybody is working hard to get this thing out of our country.
To that, Biden laying out how he would have and will handle things differently if elected.
He missed enormous opportunities and kept saying things that weren't true. You can contain the pandemic by being rational.
Tied to the pandemic, the ongoing stimulus battle and why help has been held up for struggling Americans.
You know who I'm negotiating against? Nancy Pelosi, because she doesn't want to give the money.
You can open businesses and schools if, in fact, you provide them the guidance that they need as well as the money to be able to do it.
Building off of that, voters wanted to know if they can trust a vaccine.
The body of scientists say that this is what is ready to be done, and it's been tested, it's gone through the 3 phases. Yes, I would take it. I'd encourage people to take it.
It's rounding the corner, and we have the vaccines coming, and we have the therapies coming.
The candidates also delivering a stark contrast on President Trump's Supreme Court pick, Amy Coney Barrett, and the contentious confirmation hearings.
And I don't even think she has laid out much of a judicial philosophy in terms of the basis upon which she thinks are there unenumerated rights. So I think there's great reason to be concerned.
I don't think she has any conflict at all.
Building off of that, Biden pressed for refusing to give a clear, detailed answer to whether or not he would support a progressive push to pack the court.
I'm not a fan. I then say it depends on how this turns out. Not how he wins, but how it's handled.
I'm Nadia Romero reporting.
But there's a number of things that are
Well, meanwhile, Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris is making changes to her travel plans. This after one of her staffers and a flight crew member tested positive for COVID-19. Biden's campaign manager says neither Harris nor Biden had recent close contact with the people who tested positive. And Thursday, Harris and her husband both tested negative for COVID-19. The Biden campaign says it is taking the precautionary step as a commitment to safety. Back here at home, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogshead says the current coronavirus restrictions will stay in place for now. He joined Marion County Public Health Department Director Dr. Virginia Kane to give an update on where we are now in regards to the pandemic. City leaders say that though the cases and hospitalizations are slowly creeping up, they hope tighter restrictions are not required. And as we get closer to Halloween, Mayor Hogshead and Dr. Kane are again discouraging traditional trick-or-treating.
I know that missing out on trick-or-treating and Halloween get-togethers is just another disappointment in a year full of disappointments. But please keep this in mind. These are precautions that you can take to protect your health, the health of your family, and the health of your neighbors, and ultimately the overall health and well-being of our community. And I would suggest that that is worth more than a party or a bag of candy.
Because the Marion County Health Department is discouraging trick-or-treating, there will not be set hours for those participating in safe activities. So let's take a look now at the latest coronavirus numbers from the state health department. Once again, we're seeing a record number of cases reported yesterday. The state health officials report 1,962 new cases of the virus. That's the highest daily total reported since the outbreak began back in March. As you can see, every day for the past week, more than 1,000 cases have been reported. As of this morning, 141,212 Hoosiers have tested positive for COVID-19. The state's 7-day positivity rate also continues to increase. It's now at 5.7%. So let's take a look at the number of Hoosiers who have lost their lives during this pandemic. State health officials report 23 newly confirmed COVID-related deaths. So far, more than 3,600 Hoosiers have died with the virus. Health officials continue to encourage people to get tested for COVID-19. Anyone who lives or works in Indiana can get tested for free. You can register by going to lhi.care/COVID testing or by calling 888-634-1116. At 4:36, a program to help families get through this pandemic by assisting with e-learning and child care is now getting more funding. An additional $88,000 will go towards the community learning grants created by the organization The Mind Trust. The money will allow 3 sites to continue serving students through December 17th. The centers are safe, free option for students who may not have reliable internet access at home or whose parents may not be able to stay home during those school hours. New evidence released in the case against one of the officers charged in connection to George Floyd's death. Straight ahead, why Thomas Lane's lawyer says this video helps prove his innocence. Plus, does the coronavirus spread easier on airplanes? The surprising answer coming up. Todd?
And Lauren, it's a cold morning for us here across the area as we are dealing with very, very chilly temperatures, and that's why we have a freeze warning that's in effect for the first time this fall season across central Indiana. We'll talk about today's freeze warning. There's another one for your Saturday as well. It's all coming up. And Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Let's go to Minnesota now, where a judge has ruled that the video of a 2019 interaction between George Floyd and Minneapolis police officers can be viewed by the public. The ruling is in response to a motion filed by the attorney for Thomas Lane, one of the men facing charges in relation to Floyd's death. The body cam footage from 2019 shows Floyd crying as he's being arrested and put in the back of a squad car. In court documents, Lane's attorney says Floyd's behavior in 2019 is, quote, almost an exact replica of how he acted during his arrest back in May of this year. He argues that the video shows that Floyd has a pattern of not obeying law enforcement.
I believe what you'll see is the same conduct a year ago that occurred on May 25th of 2020. When you see and hear the video on May 25th, he says, "Mama, I don't know what's going on. Help me. I'm claustrophobic." What else does he say? All of those statements he made a year before that in the arrest of him on May 6th.
Prosecutors argued against the release of the video, saying it would unfairly sway public opinion and add pressure to move the trial outside of Minneapolis. They also note the public court records do not show any charges filed against Floyd in the May 2019 arrest. The Indiana grandfather accused of dropping his granddaughter out of a cruise ship window last summer has pleaded guilty to negligent homicide charges. Salvatore Anello of Valparaiso was charged by Puerto Rican authorities in the death of his 18-month-old granddaughter, Chloe Wiegand. The family was on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship when Chloe fell from his arms out of an open window onto the dock below. Anello has said that he didn't know the window was open. Initially, he pleaded not guilty, but earlier this year he pleaded guilty, saying he wanted to end this nightmare for his family. He's not expected to serve any jail time, and his probation will be served in Indiana. He'll be sentenced in December. The time now is 4:42. Friday night lights won't be shining at some of Central Indiana's high school stadiums tonight. This after reports of some positive COVID-19 tests. Franklin Community High School announced that its varsity football game against Decatur Central has been canceled for tonight. The freshman game at Decatur is still scheduled to go on as planned tomorrow. Also, tonight's game between Hamilton Southeastern and Brownsburg has been canceled. In a tweet, Brownsburg said they were looking for an alternative opponent. And the pandemic continues to take a toll on the NFL. On Thursday, the Atlanta Falcons shut down their practice facility after an assistant coach tested positive for COVID-19. They are the latest team to have an outbreak. In recent weeks, the Tennessee Titans and the New England Patriots have also reported positive coronavirus cases. As of now, the Falcons are still scheduled to play the Vikings on Sunday. Meanwhile, the NFL has canceled January's Pro Bowl. The All-Star game, which was set for January 31st, will now be replaced with a variety of virtual activities. Well, some encouraging news this morning if you're planning to take a trip. A new study shows circulating air on the airplanes is unlikely to spread the coronavirus. The Department of Defense found that the aircraft ventilation systems are effective at removing the virus from the air, but there are some caveats. First, the study used a mannequin wearing a mask and assumed that all passengers are masked and facing forward. Researchers say the testing also did not include substantial movement throughout the plane or in the airport lounge or jetway, where air change rates and human interactions may vary. At 4:44, let's get a check of our forecast. And if you went outside yesterday without a heavier coat, Todd, you may want to go back to the closet this morning.
I think if you walk out the door, you will turn around very quickly, head back inside and grab that jacket, because this is your 24-hour temperature change map. And look at Muncie. You're 31 degrees colder right now than you were 24 hours ago here in this 4:30 hour. 28 degrees colder in Bloomington and 27 degrees colder in Lafayette. So where does that put us? Well, with clear skies and calm winds, temperatures have really dropped off, down to 37 degrees right now in Indianapolis. Visibility is not an issue, but look at some of these temperatures once you get outside of Indy. We're down to 32, the freezing mark in Greencastle, 33 in Terre Haute, 32 in Sullivan. Running a couple degrees warmer still off to the east. That's because you were the last ones to see the clouds clear out over in Richmond and in Greenfield, so that's why your temperatures are running just a couple degrees warmer at 35 degrees. 33 is the current temperature in Peru. Just look at this cool air that is pouring in to much of the Midwest. All the warmth is getting pushed off towards the east here. It's 38 in Des Moines, 32 in Sioux Falls. So as we work our way throughout the day today, our temperatures are going to warm initially very quickly, but we're not going to get above normal. We're going to see our highs top off today only in the mid-50s, but there will be quick warming once the sun comes up. So any frost that does develop out there will melt away very quickly. By the time we get to the noon hour, we are at 52 degrees, and then about 56 to 58 will be your high temperature later on this afternoon. Satellite radar picture is showing those clouds continuing to push out. Still just lingering a little bit there down to the south, but the rain is off to the east. There's this one tiny little band of rain and some snow that's making its way through parts of the Midwest. But yesterday's rainfall ended our streak of less than 1/10 of an inch of rain days in a row. We stopped it at 57. It's still a record by a full 10 days, but thankfully we won't have to show you that map anymore going forward in our future. As far as TrueCast, that little band of rain and snow I showed you, it's going to try to sneak into northern locations later on, and there could be a stray shower this evening from Lafayette to Kokomo and points to the north. Nothing really to worry about. It goes through very quickly, but I just want to point that out in case you're traveling in that direction here later on this evening, that there could be a quick passing shower. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies this evening. Bundle up for high school football games. And then tomorrow morning, we do it all over again. We're going down into the 30s with a freeze warning that goes into effect once again overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Saturday's the better day of the weekend. Partly cloudy, 65. Sunday, 63 degrees. Those showers are late in the day on Sunday, so we're okay for the most part. And then as we work our way into next week, a gradual warming trend back up into the 70s, Lauren, by midweek.
All right, Todd, thank you. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. This is a live look at I-70 near Old State Road 267. You can see traffic along Interstate 70 is traveling smoothly, both eastbound and westbound. So if you're traveling in areas like Hendricks County or on the west side, you shouldn't have any problems this morning. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated. Now to a consumer alert this morning. If you shop at Barnes & Noble, that bookstore says that it suffered a massive cybersecurity attack. That means your personal information including email addresses and other personal details, could have been exposed. Barnes & Noble says that financial information was not exposed, but transaction histories may have been. Transaction history refers to your purchase information related to books and other products that you bought from the company. Affected customers were notified via email on Monday. Starbucks is continuing to put a focus on diversity. Starting next year, the company will begin linking executive pay within its ranks to diversity targets. The coffee giant hopes that tying pay to inclusion initiatives will increase diversity within its ranks. Starbucks didn't give specifics exactly on how executive pay will be impacted, but it did lay out some diversity goals. Those include having 30% Black, Indigenous, and people of color employees at the corporate level by 2025, and in retail and manufacturing, the goal is 40% within the same time frame. Attention ramen lovers, Top Ramen is looking for a chief noodle officer. The job comes with some pretty sweet perks. The lucky hire will get paid $10,000 to develop and test out new ramen noodle soup recipes, plus a 50-year supply of Top Ramen products. To apply, post a picture and a recipe of your own Top Ramen creation to social media using the hashtag #HowDoYouTopRamen. You have to act fast, though. Submissions are only being accepted through October 30th. Taking their passion for flying and paying it forward, up next, our own Brad Brown shows us how a group of local pilots bringing joy to their community. And still to come here on Good Morning Indiana, a Hamilton County woman's invention is coming in handy during this pandemic. All new at 5 o'clock, our own Kelsey Anderson shows us how the portiere is making hygiene on the go really easy. It's 4:49. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It is 4:53. So classic cars on the roads often turn heads. The same goes for an even rarer sight, classic planes in the skies. You may have seen these aircrafts flying high over central Indiana, and our Brad Brown takes us in flight with the pilots who say these planes are all about fun and philanthropy.
The machines are classic pieces of aviation history, meticulously restored and looking just as good as their first takeoff.
We call them sport biplanes. They're made for aerobatics. They do about 150 miles an hour, give or take, covered in fabric. They have wooden wings.
The men that fly these planes, they're all a little bit classic as well.
I soloed an aircraft before I was driving a car alone.
I flew spray planes for a long time, for 22 years, crop dusting.
Got my first job at an airline in 1978. And spent 40 years flying commercial airliners around the world.
These pilots are part of the Indy Biplanes Club, flying out of Metro Airport. Far more than just a hobby, these guys are taking their passion for flight and paying it forward.
We started getting these feel-good stories from people on the Facebook site saying, you know, you flew over and it made my day, that kind of stuff, which surprised us because we're just out having fun. So we kind of started making that our mission.
Today's mission, a 5-plane formation flying over the Ironwood Golf Club, a fundraiser outing for NeuroHope, an organization that provides extended rehab for people with spinal cord injuries.
We said, look, this is the only fundraiser we're doing this year. We want to be safe, we want to be socially distant, but we can still do a golf outing in a safe way. And when you add elements like a flyover and those pilots, it's like that extra little bonus point to an event.
Now let's say you're given an invitation to fly along with this crew, sitting in on the pre-flight briefing and eventually climbing into the front seat for an exhilarating experience high in the sky over central Indiana.
They'll just do a little bit more than your average Cessna or your average Piper. They roll a little bit faster. They're a little bit more tricky to land and take off, but that's part of the challenge.
I had Monty manning the controls behind me. From more than 3,000 feet in the air, an up-close look at the amazing precision that these pilots possess to put those formation flights together.
We are upping our game continuously because pilots are always looking for a challenge. That's the reason we get in. One of the reasons we get into it is because you can never be the best. You can only be your best.
It's nothing but fun. Yeah, particularly for me, after spending 40 years of going straight and level and trying to keep people from being upset, that I get to twist and turn in this thing now is a big benefit to me.
The biplanes took part in some hope flights earlier this year, dedicated to first responders and healthcare workers during the pandemic.
It was just so tough for everybody, being stuck at home, nothing to do, they can't go out. And we got the idea, we're like, you know, we can be people's entertainment and bring it to them.
A chance to spread a little love from high above during difficult times.
Both of my parents were very civic-minded and presented a very good model for my brother and sister and I that community service was important. So for me, being retired now, this is my first opportunity to give back.
Working for you in Fishers, Brad Brown, WRTV.
All right, thank you, Brad Brown. Great stuff there. And I've seen those flyovers numerous times just being out and about here across central Indiana. So great work by the Indy biplanes as well. All right, 58 today after a frosty start. We'll warm to close to normal in the afternoon hours with lots of sunshine. Freeze warning again tomorrow as we get back down into the 30s. 65 Saturday afternoon. And then it gets a little unsettled late on Sunday. We bring in the chance of some showers. Better shower chances, though, Monday into Tuesday. And then throughout next week, we'll see a bit of a warming trend as high temperatures get back up into the 70s by Wednesday and Thursday. Time now is 4:57. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on WRTV. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.